CPI data comes in higher than expected. What a sad story. Surprise, surprise, No. I really want to say it. I'm probably going to say it. But I've got to be courteous because I know some people have the live on and they've got kids in the background and what have you. Welcome to Traders Reality, the home of where the hybrid system started. That's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. We started this bad boy good nearly 3 years ago. It's actually more than that. No, yeah, 3 years ago when we went onto YouTube and we started talking about Forex. And then someone said, hey, man, check Bitcoin. I was like, okay, cool. And then the rest is history. To all my pattern watchers, mad love for passing through. We've got a lot to consider today. Euro down, dollar up, stock market on its way down. But Bitcoin, Bitcoin is doing very, very well. But we know Bitcoin is last to move. That's the thing. And of course, when we finish the live, that is when we will see Bitcoin making a move. So in today's live stream, I'm going to be talking about a couple of things. I'm going to be talking about how, in principle, you can exploit news plays, but it's a very, very tricky strategy. And you've got to have some grit about you before you take these sort of trades. Now, I shared one this morning to the guys in the members channel, and it looks like it came through very, very well. If you guys are still in those trades, get them finished because the market will be opening and we expect a little bit of a retrace. Nonetheless, we'll be talking about Bitcoin, and whenever you see a big move to the downside or to the upside, how we can exploit this purely on the principle of the vector candles and understanding what vectors are needed to be present in specific areas for you to gauge the idea that maybe it's going to go in your favor to the upside or to the downside. So we're going to be doing a little bit of schooling today on the hybrid system. But let's get to the charts, ladies and gentlemen, and have a look at what has been going on. Let's roll with it. By the way, I'm operating on 2.5 hours sleep. So if I start talking breeze, you probably think I talk breeze anyway every single day in these live streams, but that's irrelevant. Let's carry on. Okay, cool. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the New York live stream. Let me say it again. The home of the hybrid system. Oh, my days, man. Ain't no one can talk hybrid than me. No one. No one. I'm sorry. I put too much time into understanding this bad boy. You know? Let me show you what I'm talking about. Welcome. Welcome to inflation. Welcome to lower projection on the actual employment claims. It's mixed again, ladies and gents, but we're getting the core information now. CPI 3.7%. Core price index 0.4. Problem. What does it all mean? Well, it means now that the Fed has to be very cautious about increasing interest rates because the higher inflation gets, or the stickier it is, it's going to be forcing a lot of people out of work. People can't sustain it. Companies won't be able to maintain paying people, okay? So there's going to be job cuts. And once the unemployment market does take the smack, guys are calling for 6% unemployment. That's what they want. It's now 3.7 in the unemployment rate. So when we look at these sort of figures, we say to ourselves, okay, how is that going to impact the marketplace? Well, remember, higher interest rates is good for the dollar, okay? Because it encourages foreign investment. And if it's high for a longer period of time, and the US with one of the highest, not out of the big economies, it's got the highest interest rate, that's naturally going to be encouraging investors to start loading up on dollars. Dollar goes up, euro goes down, and the party continues, okay? So let me just bring a couple of things into perspective for you. So let's start off with Bitcoin. And when I'm talking about the idea of looking for vectors, understanding that there has to be there has to be a state of equilibrium in the charts. When one thing happens, something else happens. Cha-ching, happy days, okay? So in front of you, we've got Bitcoin on the 5-minute time frame. My forte is all about the smaller time frames. I'm only interested in smaller time frames because I like to see how things develop. If I'm looking at the 4-hour or the daily, I'm missing out on the information that could be developing inside of the chart, okay? Now, in front of you, you can see that I've marked off these 2 important areas. Now, I shared a trade setup last night to the guys in the Platinum members. And inside this video, I was talking about why Bitcoin was getting ready to come back up into this zone, to come and attack the 0.5%, well, the 50% of the recovery of the vector candle. So when you see a red vector candle, right, and you're trying to decide whether you should take a trade or not, you should always find the midpoint of the vector, because that gives us the idea that at that point, that's where market makers started to bring the flavor to mark prices down, okay? And inside this video, I was explaining that I need to see more green vectors coming into play. Bitcoin has been trading at the range daily low. We anticipate a move back up, okay? Now, the only reason why we spoke about it like this is because previously, the day before, Bitcoin did exactly the same thing in the morning. It made this move to the downside, if you remember, in the UK session, and then it made the move back up, okay? And this is what we look for. We look to exploit these sort of scenarios, all right? So now we look at that chart and you see 2 green vector candles right there. So that was the cue for me to say, all right, I need to start paying attention, because it could be that Mr. Market Maker's done with this range, all right? Check this out. We have got Bitcoin completing the move. Now look, what's good, my lad? Green vector candle at the lowest point right here. Happy days. We all see that. Started the play. Second green vector candle comes into play, right? Now, because of what was going on in the marketplace, we expected Bitcoin to find normality and go back into the range. And it came and tested that midpoint of the red vector candle. And what did they do from that point? They sold off from it again. This is what you're looking for when you're finding the midpoints of vectors, whether it's a green or a red. You're looking for these midpoints because it suggests that that's the point where they started to encourage retail to go short. So logic would say that if they can move up to that point again, they're going to hit the liquidations. Retail traders are going to think, oh my God, it's going back up again. And then they rip them back down again. Okay? This is what you look for. So after every big move in Bitcoin, whether it's to the upside or to the downside, you have to take into consideration that what's going on in the marketplace, that plays a big role, because Bitcoin's on a move down, all right? And this is what you call fading the market. That's a fade, okay? Here's another example, but this one is more, it's all about, this strategy is very tricky, and you've got to be careful when you're trading news with this. I don't like to do this, but I feel as though the guys in the group are of that level where they've got the capacity to really challenge themselves and be in the trade before the news. So check this out. I said today that we were going to probably look for a surprise in the reading, okay? Because we've had a strong workforce, core price increases due to oil from yesterday, resilience in the manufacturing sector, and consumer confidence is at good levels, okay? Now, I have to give 2 scenarios because before news plays, you just don't know what the story is. Now, what I had done was I spoke about dollar dominance in this area right here with the idea that if dollar holds this range, we're going to expect dollar to move up on the news announcements. But yesterday, I shared a range on dollar, which you can see right here, 105 and the 105.233 zone, okay? They still stayed in that range since yesterday. So that was giving me the clue that they were getting ready to load up. Look in front of you what you see blue vector candles appearing. The violet vector candle appearing at the lowest point in the chart, suggesting that volume is starting to rise, but is it? It could be that selling is slowing off, okay? We then marked off a couple of levels on the yields, and we've highlighted that this is what we anticipate the yields to be doing, okay? We go into the yields, and we can see they're so far sticking to that narrative, all right? We then go into the setups with Euro. And I said, look, I strongly recommend you do not do this if you do not feel comfortable during the news. So here was the range that I shared with Euro. The Asian session high, the Asian session low. Okay? Now, for the shorts, I said that if you get a break, set a limit order of 1.06049 with a stop loss of 1.06168. For a buy stop order, you set the order at 1.06395 with a stop loss at 1.06284. When you place those orders in before the news, they could get hit, which is why I suggested that you be careful that you don't actually place the orders until you get to the news about 2 to 3 minutes beforehand, okay? Now, for the shorts, we had a projection of it going down to the psychological high, which was the 1.05741. And for the longs, we would effectively expect the 800 EMA. This is the problem with news, but this is what this strategy is. You're making sure that the ranges that you cover, okay, do not get hit before the news. That's why you can see Asian session was relatively wide, okay, which gave me confidence into believing that, okay, they can hold out in this range. And that's exactly what Euro did. It held out inside of that range and completely ripped the range to the downside. So look, had you placed a buy stop order up here, you wouldn't have been worried. Why? Because they didn't take it. Had you placed the buy stop order, the sell stop order here, and it got triggered, you would have gone all the way down to the psychological high, and look at where it is. Sat at the psychological high. Happy days. We then go back into the dollar dominance, and we can see that dollar dominance has made the move up, come back into our vector zones, yippee-ki-yay to the upside, broken the range right there. We then go into the understanding of the yields, and you can see the yields are actually following suit and delivering the flavor. This is what it is about understanding money flow, okay? Predominantly, we know that the marketplace has been giving us a little bit of a mix in terms of news. How can you have a strong workforce, core prices increase, and the resilience in the manufacturing sector and the confidence, the consumer confidence levels are high, all right? Something's not sitting right. Naturally, we would be expecting a different reading because that's what we've been getting all week. Going into the data this week, and look what we got. Look, 0.5% on the core PPI. They didn't expect that. That's already adding a bit of a problem for us, okay? Going back into the charts themselves, we go over to the NASDAQ and the S&P. NASDAQ has made a sharp move down. Coming back into the vector candle recovery, notice how yesterday they marked it up, and we said it yesterday. Is this not a squeeze? It was a short squeeze because now they've just wrecked those players, got everyone long, yippee-ki-yay, back to the green vector candles. Now, today's going to be a very interesting day. Why? Because we're going to be anticipating a little bit of a recovery to the upside. What do we need to do, guys? Red vector candle at the highest point, go to the lowest point. That's your first zone from yours truly. Second zone, we've got a red vector candle region there. And then we go into this point, and they seem to be stalling at that midpoint with the collection of the green vector candles appearing in that zone. Still not above the 50 EMA, but they are going to react to the news in the next minute. Okay? Well, actually, when I finish the live, because about 2:45 is usually when they make the move. Okay? Now, with that being said, we go over to Bitcoin to put things into perspective on what we can expect from good old BTC. Now, Bitcoin is doing what? What have we got going off here, ladies and gentlemen? Well, let's have a look at what's going on EXO Charts. Check this bad boy. Okay, then. So, EXO Charts, we have got the following. Right, so this is the S&P. I'm looking at S&P, and we've got NASDAQ right here. Coming up into the VWAP, I would expect them to try and come and clear the VWAP and try and take some of these imbalances, which is consistent with them coming back into the red vector candle on the S&P right there. That's what we're looking for, ladies and gentlemen. We expect sales to be triggered inside of that zone over there. We then go over to Bitcoin, and we have a look at BTC and what we got going off here. Well, Bitcoin currently right now is not really doing anything. It's in what we would call, it's in a rotation on the VWAP. And it's a very, since the start of the session, it's been a very tricky VWAP. It's been up and down, and it looks like they're selling from above the VWAP, buying it up again aggressively at the lowest point, and then coming back up again. Now, Bitcoin is starting to turn at this point, and we're going closer and closer, and we can see that we're starting to get some hits to the downside. Got an imbalance down below right there, and it looks like Delta's increasing at minus 23%, but just be careful because there could be a stop run back up before they actually take the range. Let me just bring this across here. Do that. Okay, just looking at NASDAQ's order flow, we can see from the down we are currently in value on NASDAQ in this area here. But the bigger value comes into play at 372, sorry. And we scroll even further down. Look at this. Look at that. That is nuts. And this is on the 7-day chart. Point of control sits at 15,290. So we're going to have to be very careful with looking at longs in the NASDAQ and the S&P if they cannot sustain above the midpoint of the vector candles. Now, Bitcoin is looking like it's starting to make a little bit of a flavorsome move. Let's have a look at the order flow on BTC. Right, what have we got? So, right now, 25-day chart right here says that we are currently operating in value area high. Are we? No, value area low, okay? So the next point of interest for Bitcoin could be at 27,400 in terms of a relief rally, but if the market comes out and sees the reaction of what's going on with the inflation data, then we could expect Bitcoin to start rolling over. Now, looking at Bitcoin, it has been taking a bit of a tumble, and we've got a nice little area that Bitcoin in principle needs to be testing to validate the idea that there's going to be support around the 26,200 zone. Roll over to the high block, ladies and gents, and what have we got? Let's run this chart and let's see if they've gone for the third wave of attack on the liquidity. So we've got the 1, we had the 1, the 2, 1, 2, and they went for the third down here. It's done it again, man. I can't believe this. Yeah, so we've got the first wave, 1, 2, 3 hits down. We've got a little bit of pool of liquidity here at 2.6 billion with 26,400 of long liquidations. Let's just quickly go over to the good old Bookmap. Right. Okay, so we've got a player right now at 26,900 wants to get some nice orders filled or sales. Oh, okay. Okay, right. Excuse me. What have we got going off here? Right, so 1,054 Bitcoin orders at 27,200, and they seem like they're static, but the order book is not imbalanced yet. The top side you can see here, it doesn't show an imbalance. It's not suggesting to me limit buys or limit sales are coming into play in the marketplace, right? Oh, here we go. We got plus 12%, which tells me that limit buys are being picked up. They're coming away from the VWAP. We would like to see them hit 25. I want to see them hit 26, to be fair, guys. That's what I'm looking for. I want to see them hit 26. It is a bit of a far move to the downside, to be honest with you. And I might be a little bit optimistic about it, but 26 will take it all the way down there. Now, let's just consider the following. Euro down, keeps going down, okay? Guys, if you're in those trades still, we're coming into daily support, so please be mindful. And we've got the previous day's low as well nearby. So I'd be very cautious with your shorts in euro. Make sure you're putting in stops, lock in profit, and just leave it be, all right? Cool. So Bitcoin, yeah, 26,000 could be a little bit of a stretch today, but if it's going to be following anything, I mean, the NASDAQ and S&P aren't really giving me that flavor to come back up just yet, okay? And I always say it, guys, always factor in what price could do before it gets to where you expect it to go, because this is what probabilities are all about, okay? You can't know where it's going to go, but you can have a good idea of how likely it's going to go from one point to the next. Why? Because if you're favoring shorts, you're going to be paying attention to where price could go up to, okay? If you're favoring longs, you're going to be paying attention to where price could go down to. So when you focus more on what it could do whilst you're in your trade, before you place the trade, that's where you're going to be able to come with the risk factor and say, you know what, I'm only going to put one contract, one lot size, okay? Use only a certain amount of margin before I take the chance to go in with the full position, just so I can probe the idea of what it could be developing, okay? Do that, and that way you have longevity in the game of trading, because as long as you can keep trading, all right, you'll naturally then progress, because then you'll be aware of what not to do every time you go to take a trade, okay? Now, going into the smaller time frames, ladies and gents, we have got this interesting behavior on Bitcoin. It doesn't look like Briscoe Wolf, coffee and donuts for you and your daughter, man. Thank you so much, bro. I mean, the donut would have cost £2 and the coffee for me, you could have just done it much smaller, bruv. But God bless you, man. Thank you so much for that, bro. Thank you. You make me blush, man. You make me blush. I get all hot. I might have to undo the butt. Nah. I saw your comment, Victoria. You got the makeup on. That's funny. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to that point. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Give me your coins. I'm going to get the party started off with the altcoin market. Still no volume. Still no volume. LOOM again. Right, guys, LOOM keeps on popping its head. Ah, there you go. Projection complete. They made it. Remember what we said about LOOM? 3 hits to the high. 1, 2, 3. Complete. Happy days. If you've made a penny or two, get your money out. Get it out. And it could shoot all the way up again, but at least you took some money off the table. Crude oil. Let's have a look at good old crudeage. Look at that for Respectus. Look at that. Back into close the gap to fill it back up again, to go back into the upside. I'm going to be doing a projection on oil after the live. So keep an eye out on that, Platinum members. I'm going to be doing that. And listen, if you do consider becoming a Platinum member, the assets that I focus predominantly on, okay? I mainly look at Bitcoin, Euro, dollar yen, gold, oil, NASDAQ. Now, the reason I'm looking at those assets specifically is because I can correlate them to the dollar dominance, okay? I always start it off with the yields. I get the guys to understand what is the marketplace doing to justify them taking the trade, okay? When you have an understanding of how money is moving, then you have more confidence in taking a trade, okay? Those are the main assets. I'm going to be updating the website so it shows people what it is that we do, okay? Now, when it comes to altcoins, there has to be an altcoin that, in my opinion, has to grab my attention. So I'm either going to be looking at Ethereum, and when we've got altcoins like any random ones, like I want heavy liquidity in terms of altcoins because I don't think it's responsible getting people to focus on altcoins that effectively got light liquidity, which could shake them out. I'm not down for that. I want to try and improve the odds of trades working very well. What the hell is big time? Let me just go to big time and have a look at your coins. Here we go. What's this? Okay. A new coin. That got listed yesterday. Wait for it to come back down. We've got some vectors, but I'll expect them to come back down. So keep an eye out on that. But this thing could actually move up with all marketing and what have you, share on Twitter, get airdrops and all that stuff. So keep an eye on this asset. Big time. Keep an eye on it. Don't buy it. Keep an eye on it. Here we go. You want to have a look at it, okay? For all my American gang, aluminium. Aluminum. Back down to the green vector candle recovery. Happy days. Come on. Do it. There we go. Green vector candle back there. Right, so daily open could be a promise if they don't see any light, which tells me we have got a bit of interest up here. So I've got to be careful in this range because it's trading sideways. I want to go into gold for a split second. Where's gold? Ah, yep, standard. Getting ready to roll over. So the hedge is now reinstated. So they're going to start loading, well, filling gold down. But we've got red vector candle regions right there. So that's pretty interesting. So I'm going to wait until about 3 o'clock for that flavor. What else you got for me? Zigzag. What assets are great for fast in, fast out moves? Is Bitcoin best for that, or should I be focused on alts more? I've got to make some money, Tino. My car broke down last week, so I had to dip into dry powder. Okay, cool. The problem that I've got with cryptocurrency is the fees when it comes to scalping. So you are compelled to hold the trade longer. Now, depending on what other brokerages you use where they don't have any fees, that's fine, okay? But the safest bet is when you trade Forex with minimal spreads, like 0 spreads, okay? So then you can look for 2-3 pip move and you've made your money. $50 a pip, $150 a trade, you know? Granted, you can lose $150. Don't get it twisted. It's not always up and, you know, that's it. You do lose in trading, all right? But I think that the industry is making it harder and harder for people to scalp crypto, which means it compels them to hold on to it longer, keeping their margins exposed so that guys like me can come on the live streams and say, yo, 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 ladies and gentlemen, we got some long liquidations at 26,413 with $154 million worth to get taken. So those guys obviously are opening up trades right here. Look, these guys here, okay, it just said it. 154 million. Where was it? Oh, man, I just saw it. $154 million worth of longs opened at the, here we go. $154 million worth of longs opened at 26,844, okay? Look where price went to, okay? 26,910. So $400 move in Bitcoin, not bad, man. Take your money. Nope. Let's get them liquidated. And that's the margins. This is for the 25, 50x guys, okay? The 100x guys, dustbin. They've been liquidated. Ciao, ciao. Good night. What else you got for me? Lady. What's this? Yeah, any opinions about the Hamas-Israel? What do you want me to say to you, bro? What can I say to you? Regardless of indifferences, people are getting killed, bro. You know? It's not good. It's not good. We always think that because we sit and watch it in the comfort of our own homes. That's the messed up thing. We're sympathetic for that moment, right? Then we go to bed. And we don't give a fuck after that. We wake up in the morning. What time is it? Oh, man, I just stepped on my... Those are problems that people have. Real problems are happening around the world where this is where you got to say to yourself, how lucky am I? I ain't got to look out my window and be worried about, you know, shadow missiles hitting me. My problem is when I look out of my window, I got a dog opposite, the neighbor opposite, and it's always staring at me when I walk out my house. Those are the problems that I've got. And in comparison to what people are experiencing, man, we just settle in differences. It's fucked up. It really is. You know, that's someone's daughter. That's someone's son. That's someone's grandmother. That's someone's grandson. All right. You've all got kids. You've all got relatives. You all got friends and family. All right. When you go into the news anchors, here you go. Bloomberg, let's have a look. This is what people are like. Okay. We see the story of Israel, brutal attacks, managing Israel. Look at that. People are on YouTube watching it like they get their war porn. What the fuck is that? You know? Look at that. You see this on computer games, bruv. But this is happening in real time. That's the worst thing about it. Someone's car. You know? Look at this. It's just sad. It's wrong. It's sad. It just takes the mick. You know? But human. And then you got this guy stepping out. Oh, what the fuck? That's what I mean. People have finished, bruv. Finished. You know? There's no Philodimon. It's done. You know? Now it's survival of the fittest. It really is survival of the fittest, ladies and gentlemen. That's the truth. Now you got me all messed up. I ain't going to talk about it again, bro. I ain't going to talk about it again because it pisses me off. It really does. 27,200, got 1,155 Bitcoin orders. You know what the flavor is. We're going to look for a sweep to the downside on Bitcoin. But if the move to the down, I mean, look at the NASDAQ and S&P, man. We are missing opportunities here. Look how it respects that midpoint of that vector, man. That is frightening. Had you completed that midpoint of that vector, look, it's beautiful. Look at that. Okay. 200 EMA coming in sight onto the S&P itself. 4,400 could be a very interesting play. But yesterday I said it. Look, this is a squeeze to the upside. They're going to shake everybody out, bring it down. Now we're going to wait and see if this ultimate support could come in at 4,389. The longer The longer the S&P and the NASDAQ keep moving down, the more aggressive Bitcoin is going to drop. But be careful. Bitcoin will do a little stop run first because that's what everyone thinks now. Everyone thinks Bitcoin's going to drop, okay? So market makers got them all caught up in this zone. We're already seeing that he's trying to probe the range with these stopping volume candles. So just be careful. Run in for the shorts, all right? Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be checking in with you all later on. Sorry I went on a tangent on there, but this is the truth of the world right now. You know, got to show love to everyone, all right? Let's put ourselves in their shoes, and we'll see what the story is then. Ladies and gentlemen, mad love and respect. Guys in platinum, I'll be checking in with you in a split second. Peace.